Hey y'all, welcome back to Make It Dairy Free. I am Larisha.
I am Andrew.
And today we are going to talk all about roasting vegetables. So how to roast vegetables, why to roast vegetables, and of course, what the heck to do with them after.
After eating roasted vegetables, I don't know if it's because we're vegan, but it's kind of like why make your food taste better? Which is honestly, in my case, I would think is kind of rhetorical.
Yeah, for sure. So I think one of the first reasons is that roasting vegetables is actually like the simplest and easiest way that you can probably
100%.
cook a vegetable.
100%.
It is super beneficial like if you are preparing like a lot of food or if you're meal prepping or cooking for a big family, you literally just toss some oil on it, some salt and pepper or other seasonings, and then you just toss it in the oven and you can basically go on with the rest of whatever you're doing.
I would think the second way is that, when you roast a vegetable, it creates this transformation of the vegetable. I think that creates a sweet, nutty, toasty flavor that's just amazing.
Yeah, and a little crispiness.
Yeah, little crispy bits, little bitsies. You find that's because of the caramelization process that happens during the roasting. So that dry heat that you get from cooking it in the oven pretty much just brings out the deepest of flavors and honestly throughout the house, just all the aromatics.
So on the topic of dry heat that you were saying, I think that there is a lot of stigma that goes around cooking your vegetables is that you lose a lot of the nutritional value, which is kind of why the raw diet exists, right?
Yeah.
In veganism. What's great about roasting them is that it is a dry heat. So unlike some of the other ways that you could cook them, you still retain some of that nutritional value, and it's one of the better ways to cook your vegetables.
All right, so if you have any questions, definitely drop us a comment. Let's get into the video and show you how to roast, which I think we would say are some of the most popular vegetables out there.
For sure.
So the first one we're gonna be doing is garlic. To start off with garlic, you're literally gonna be doing the entire bulb. What you're gonna do is take a knife and you're gonna slice off basically 1/4 of an inch of the top. You're trying to expose basically all of the garlic pieces that are in there. You're gonna put it on some foil paper and then you're gonna drizzle a little olive oil over the top. What you wanna do is make sure it gets deep into the cloves. Depending on the size of your garlic, this should take roughly about, I would say 40 minutes in the oven. When it's done, you should simply be able to press on the bottom of it and then push all the garlic cloves through the top. Some ways that we like to use this is we use it on garlic bread. You could also use it in pasta or even potatoes. You can also store this in the fridge, and believe it or not, it can be frozen.
So next up we have pumpkins. And so what we are not going, what did you do it?
I didn't, go ahead.
So next up we have pumpkins that we are going to be roasting. And so you do not want to use these little small ones. They are not worth your time. Nobody has time for that. So take these, chuck them away, okay? They're cute for decorations. We are also not going to be using these. First of all, they are too big and too bulky. They probably won't even fit into your oven. And not only that, but they are just too stringy and they're not sweet enough to actually be worth your time when you are roasting it. And so what we are going to use are pie pumpkins or sugar pumpkins. What you are going to do is you are going to very carefully cut this beside the stem all the way around, and then when you get all the way around, you are going to break it in half, and then you will have 2 halves. Once you have 2 halves, you are going to use a spoon and you are going to scoop out all of the seeds and the stringy little bits, and you want to make sure that you save those seeds. You don't have to throw them away. We have a link in the description for how to roast pumpkin seeds, and so keep those 0 waste recipes always. Once you have all of your seeds out, what you're gonna do is drizzle with a little bit of oil. You can put salt and pepper if you want. If you are going to use it in a sweet dish, then you don't wanna put salt and pepper on it, just the oil. And then you are going to, what are you doing?
I was holding on to it while you were talking.
If you are making a sweet dish, you don't want to add the salt and pepper because that just won't be good in any of your pies or anything like that. And then you just bake it. And so then once it's done baking, what you are going to do is let it cool for a little bit until it's cool enough to touch. and then you want to remove the skin. And then you can puree it. So you can use the puree in pumpkin pie, just like the stuff you buy in the can in the store. You can also make like soups with it or put it in your pasta. We have a delicious sun-dried tomato and spinach pasta that you could use it for. Just one final tip is that instead of splitting it in half and leaving the skin on to roast it, what you can do is you can peel the skin off of it, and then you can slice it or cube it and then roast it that way. And this is good in chilies. This is good in different savory dishes like tacos or whatever. And now we're going to move on to the next thing.
We're on to butternut squash, which in a sense, pumpkin and butternut squash are kind of the same idea. The way you roast it is you cut it in half lengthwise. You could also peel it and just cube it like you would do potatoes. What's cool about butternut squash is just like a pumpkin, you would pretty much pull out all the stringiness and all the seeds. You could either put oil or you can do brown sugar, maple syrup, and cinnamon like we did in the video. I also tried like garlic and some other items like that just to add some more aromatics to the inside of that. After that, you put it in the oven and bake it and remove the skin once it comes out. That is after it cools. Do not touch it once it comes out. It is insanely hot. Similar to pumpkins, you could actually use this in recipes such as a pie, and you could also use it in soups, which we also have on our website.
Me too. Surprisingly that it's actually sweeter than a pumpkin, which most people don't know, so it makes great desserts as well. Acorn squash is another similar squash like the pumpkins or the butternut squash that we were just talking about, and you pretty much do the exact same thing. We're gonna slice it in half. You're gonna pull out all of the seeds and the stringy bits, drizzle a little bit of oil, salt and pepper on it, and then it is going to bake in the oven until it is easily pierced with a fork. Alternatively, what you can do with acorn squash is once you have it sliced in half, you can flip it over to the half that still has the skin on, take a little bit off of the top of it so it lays flat on your baking sheet and doesn't like roll around and everything. And then you can actually stuff this with your favorite stuffing recipe. We have a great sausage and apple one on our site right now. This makes a great centerpiece for Thanksgiving or just a side dish and really gets people talking about what a great use of a vegetable that you used.
So this next one is spaghetti squash, or the way I like to call it, quash. Similar to the others, you're gonna slice this one in half and remove the insides, and we sprinkle it with a little salt and pepper and oil. After this comes out the oven, you should be able to take a fork, and really what you're doing is just going around it and pulling out the insides. It's really stringy, which hence the name spaghetti squash. This is one of my personal favorites because you could just put a little of your favorite sauce right on top, and now you have a gluten-free, low calorie, and low carb meal right in front of you.
So next up we have roasted broccoli. And so you are just gonna literally take it and separate the florets from the stems. Don't throw the stems away. We don't need to waste those. Save those for a stir fry or a vegetable stock or another way that you like to use broccoli stems, but don't throw them away.
Don't be wasteful.
Once you have your florets separated, you are going to lay it flat on a baking sheet, drizzle it with some olive oil and salt. We're not gonna use pepper here, but you could if you wanted to. And then you are just going to bake those, and it only takes like 20 to 25 minutes. It's not a long one, so it's perfect as a side dish while you're baking other things. This is great on its own. Obviously, we literally eat it right off of the tray sometimes, but it's also good in like rice or quinoa bowls and also like on top of pasta dishes or something like that.
So next up is cauliflower, and it is extremely similar to broccoli. Surprise, surprise. You're gonna cut it to get all the florets away from the stems, and again, save the stems for something good. But other than that, you're gonna sprinkle a little olive oil, drizzle a little salt, and toss that right in the oven.
Do you remember when you called cauliflower white broccoli the first time I brought it home?
I do. You could use this similar to the way that you use broccoli. One of our favorite ways to use it is after it comes out the oven, we toss it with a little sauce, fold it up in a taco, and Tuesday's beautiful.
All right, so next up we have sweet potatoes, and you can roast this two ways. The way we're gonna show you in the video is you take a whole potato and then you're gonna take a fork and pierce holes all the way around the potato. Then you just place those on a baking sheet, you cover it with oil, and then you bake it right into the oven.
You bake it into the oven. You're like, just bake it right into the oven. The oven will turn into a potato. Why are you laughing? They want their oven to potatoize. So It's just the right thing to do.
Once you have that, you are going to place it on a baking sheet, and then you're just gonna cover it with oil and then place it into the oven to bake it. The second way you could do this is you can peel all of the skin off your potatoes, and then you can slice it and cube those up. Toss it with a little bit of oil and any of your favorite seasonings. Sometimes we do like taco seasoning or just salt and pepper, and then bake those until they are fork tender. If you are doing the whole potatoes, once they are easily pierced with a fork, then you remove those from the oven and let them cool down. If you're roasting these whole, then once it is easily pierced with a fork, you can remove it from the oven. Just peel the skin off of them once they are cooled down. Do not try to do this when it is hot. And then you can either just mash the sweet potato and use it as mashed sweet potatoes. You can turn it into a sweet potato casserole, or one of our favorite things to do is make sweet potato pie.
Yes.
If you are roasting it the cube way that we mentioned, then you can use those in rice bowls or tacos or anything like that.
Next up are baby potatoes, and these are one of our favorites. Sometimes we eat them as a side, and personally, we could possibly eat them for breakfast. We season these up just a tad bit more. We put some oil on them, salt and pepper, and then we add a little bit of garlic. We get it tossed on a baking sheet together, and then we lay it flat and onto the oven. Similar to all potatoes, they're done once you could use a fork and pierce it right through. And it is probably, again, just one of the easiest and greatest things you can make in a quick, fast hurry. And personally, I think it also looks good during like seasonal holidays, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
As like a little dish on the side.
Lastly, but certainly not least, we have one of the easiest vegetables that you can probably roast. We are gonna be showing you how to make roasted red peppers. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take the whole red pepper, you're gonna put a little bit of oil on your hands, and then you are just going to make sure that the red pepper is coated completely all the way around, and then place it on a baking dish. You could also do this on a grill or over a fire in your oven. However, we're going to show you probably the safest way to do it, which is inside of your oven. So once you have those on a baking sheet, you are going to just place them under your broiler for a few minutes, and then turn them every couple of minutes once you notice a black char over the top of whatever is closest to your broiler. When these are done, you are going to pull your baking sheet out of the oven, cover that with foil, and then you are going to let it completely cool. Once it's completely cooled, you are going to remove all of the skin off of your peppers and then slice those in half, and you want to get out all of the seeds and the stem from the peppers. Then you can just slice it up, and you can either use them right away, or you can store it in a little bit of oil in your fridge for up to 2 weeks. These are great on pizzas and pastas, on top of bread.
Yep.
Add a little flavor to your garlic bread. There's so many ways to use roasted red peppers. They are truly one of the best roasted vegetable dishes that you can have. Also, just a tip that you can do this with pretty much any pepper that there's out there. There's poblanos, there's Anaheims, jalapenos, anything like that. It just adds a nice texture and flavor to the peppers.
Okay, so that wraps up all the veggies we have for you today.
One last thing that we wanted to mention is that I'm sure some of you are wondering if you can make these vegetables oil-free, and we are happy to tell you that for most of them you can. So what we have found works best is either to spritz some of the vegetables with water, or some of them do really good in an air fryer to give you a similar texture that you would get in the oven with the oil. And so what we've done is we have listed how to make them oil-free in each of the blog posts for the recipes, and those are all linked in the description. So check those out if you are wondering how to make it oil-free.
Yeah, we really hope that you like this video, and if you aren't subscribed, take some time now to hit that subscribe button so you can check us out.
And we'd also love if you could leave a comment, let us know your thoughts, or just say hi and show your support to us.
All right, folks, thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.
Bye, guys.